Okay, so I just watched the season finale of Superstore. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's on NBC. And America Ferrer is in there. You know, she played Ugly Betty. And the guy, I forget what I know him from, but the leading guy, her love interest. I mean, it's actually a lot of characters in there that I recognize from various standpoints. But just don't ask me to name off the top of my head because I can't. But the episode was entitled Employee Appreciation Day. And it started off about them trying, basically to appreciate the employees for the purposes of union busting, meaning don't come together. Now, we already know that unionization at one time was considered a dirty word, but at the same time was also considered a safe place. At the same time also got contaminated where people were selling out and it had mafia ties and all kind of shit like that. There's still memories that I have of being a part of various unions that didn't do anything for us but collect money. And I'm like, why are we paying you money? You're not negotiating our wages. You're not negotiating our benefits. You just want to basically have me sign over a paycheck or a portion of my money for the fact that you say you represent me, and then you want me to come into a meeting where I might say something, but that doesn't mean you're going to do anything. And that's the truth. Because I worked on a show where they were sitting there trying to sit there and say that they negotiated my salary. First off, one, they did not get me that job. Two, they did not negotiate my salary. Three, they made my payroll person cry because their paperwork was shoddy. And then they sat there and got mad because I told them, I said, okay, I'll join, but I'll join in the financial core, which is my right, which means I give you a portion of what you're asking for. But I don't have to attend your meetings, and you don't get to say anything to me about the benefits that I collect because I get my benefits. Because the thing is, you ain't done anything for me. Because your union minimums are not what my salary is. That's a very real fact, people. That happened in my life. And we're not talking about that long ago. And then, because they called themselves going to make us think about it, because of some other shit that happened with somebody else who was a part of that union, who called themselves, calling in, one on my staff and another who basically they were trying to rim shot, which they shouldn't have, because that woman was doing far more work than she should have, and the person on my staff wasn't doing shit but being a snitch. They turned around and said, well, we'll just do away with union status for your crew. No, because see, some people on my crew actually do belong to that union. So they are not going to work for less than their benefits, and I'm not going to work for less than mine. So they tabled it, subject to review, and never did they come back and offer up a solution. Needless to say, everybody got their benefits. Because that union was ineffectual. They just wanted jurisdiction over something that they really didn't have any business having it over, because we didn't work for the guilds. We worked for the studio. It actually was a conflict of interest. They never should have been trying to get those proprietary rights. That's what it comes down to, in a nutshell. See, certain people have the right to extend certain benefits. And things now, this is the union speaking. You don't get to have our same rights because you don't subscribe to our same deal. You don't have our you don't pay benefits to us. And the studio is like, well, the thing is, we don't treat you even like we treat our corporate staff. You are an in-between. So this is a way that we now compensate you for your health care and your pension and all that kind of stuff. So basically, there are two arguments on two sides that nobody was paying attention to. But at the same time, they want to sit there and argue that they have jurisdiction over a territory that is not theirs. Because first off, it's a collective bargaining agreement, which means that if you are not careful, somebody will fall into the cracks. But what you don't want to fall into the cracks is the one who actually oversees the financials, which is what my department was. We made sure everybody was copacetic and compliant so that nobody came back and audited us, like the federal government, the state government, the unions, and all that kind of stuff, to sit there and say there was improprietary, dealings of business, because that's a lawsuit. I was good at my job, and my staff was too. Now, as time has gone on, they have changed the rules of the game. It's a progression. There's certain studios that can hire people in a classification, which I'm accustomed to working, that they can't do on the lesser studios or the ones that are coming up now. They're sitting there saying you must join this other thing because basically they're getting a kickback for doing nothing. They don't negotiate salaries. Oh, they have a base salary in there, but the thing is, people are not hiring you based upon that base salary. They are hiring you upon your expertise, your knowledge, your experience, and your ability to handle the job. And the people who cannot handle that job really shouldn't be in the guild, as far as I'm concerned. Now, when I say all that, I'm telling you about this episode of Employee Appreciation Night. That man was an illegal from the Philippines. That was a whole storyline that they had going for a while. And a lot of people knew that he was illegal. Even the former manager of the store, to the point that he covered it up. Because the thing is, he would have been deported. And because they wanted to unionize, meaning they wanted to force a hand of something that they probably shouldn't have, but at the same time had a right to, it was going to cost them one of their own. And so it did. Because corporate sent in ICE. And ICE came in and looked over all the records, found out who he was, and they could not get him out that store fast enough because one thing, the guy who was trying to warn him to get out of there, he wouldn't take his phone calls because they had a lever spat. That was just, some B storyline, but at the same time, that shit was funny as hell. You have to be careful who you distance yourself from. Now, granted, some people you don't want to talk to, but if they call you at a certain point, you'll listen to what they have to say. At least you should try to. But the thing is, they ain't always trying to call you until it's too late. Now, why do I say that? For 3 reasons. Okay, I'm listening, Father. So y'all playing games with people's lives. And you talking about it's about immigration, all that kind of shit. And you do realize that Donald Trump is over there representing the United States and the UK. And there was already a break with the UK a long time ago when they found this country. But now you have an amicable agreement. They have a interest in maintaining an amicable agreement because of what's going on with Brexit. But at the same time, that is a treasured ally that you really don't want to screw over. And that motherfucker keeps opening his mouth. By my Father's hand, he will fuck you as far as that relationship goes too. And who you gonna have? The Russians? Kim Jong-un? The Chinese? Come on, people. Who do you want to be in your camp? You gotta start figuring this shit out for yourself. I told you, my father has been talking to me incessantly for years. I told him, I said, all I want to do is just not even think about this shit anymore. He said, oh, but you have to bring them into the light, because at the same time, they say they understand everything because God is love. And you have to realize who's saying that and why they're saying it. Because as long as their back is being scratched, they ain't thinking about nobody else. Which means all your friendly neighborhood psychics and mystics and mediums and more, they ain't into politics. They ain't into any of that shit. They into all that airy. Oh, I feel so good about myself. Look in the mirror, I love myself. And ignoring everything else that's going on in the world as your hell, or your life goes to hell in a handbasket, as you still dealing with the reality that they never have to, because you giving them money for workshops, and they just get to just be in goddess gowns and be all happy and tell you how to find love. Now, you understand what my father has willed. Because, see, the human mind is an easy one to sway into insanity. And that is straight up cray-cray. And if you don't see it, ain't my problem. A lot of people do. I give them credit. They have studied to show themselves approved. But the rest of you people, Lisa Williams talking about some dot shit that she doing now. Like, what you doing dot shit for? Because she said she hit some kind of wall or something. Seriously. She gonna sit there and tell me about her problems. Like, bitch, please. You still belong to the dead. Go fuck yourself. That was being, for lack of a way to put it, the Queen of Pentacles is about nurturance. That's what we brought out of you. So as you sitting there talking about, oh, I'm excited for this new direction, but it's all scary. Oh, wait till it turns. I told you. You don't want to play with spirit, but you've been doing that shit anyway. And I told you, my father didn't wake me up at anything. And that bitch, when I told her I couldn't feed myself, you think she said, Carlos, let me send you $100? No, she ignored me. So she gets whatever she gets. And it's going to be hell to pay. As she's fighting all these demons coming her way. And I can guarantee you, there are a lot more demons out there than there are angels. We know what we have sent your way. You want to play this game with me? Father, what do you want me to say now? Oh, he said one scripture. He likes to throw a little bit of scripture for y'all. But we already did some scripture, Father. Oh yeah, we did some scripture. We're going to do this scripture. Where's my finger at? I'm getting ready to find out. Oh, we're in Hebrews chapter 11. Wait a minute. You want me to read this one? I'm not going to read this whole thing, Paul. This thing is long. Okay, I'll read a portion and then post the rest. He wants me to read, this is this Gideon Bible again, but I told you I'm going to post from the New International Version. Hebrews chapter 11. But faith is an assurance of what is hoped for, a conviction of unseen realities. The men of old gained approval by it. By faith we understand that the universe was created at God's command, so that what we now see was made out of what cannot be seen. By faith Abel brought God, a sacrifice superior to that of Cain, and through faith he was witness to his being righteous, for God acknowledged his gifts, and though he died through his faith, he is still speaking. By faith Enoch was taken up so that he did not see death, and was not found because God took him up. Before God took him up, so it is recorded, he was pleasing to God. But without faith it's impossible to please him, for he who comes to God must believe that he exists, and that he is a rewarder of those who search for him. And we're talking about God. You have to search for him first. See, I know who my Father is. I did search for him as he was waking me up, because when I was doing all the other shit that the people was doing, you know, the people that y'all subscribe to, these psychics and these angel whisperers and more, I said, this is bullshit. And then my spirit guides and my angels said that we must continue on, because they already knew that I was not going to accept that crap, because I knew better in my subconscious. And you can't rewrite that shit. Not by me. Yeah, you can rewrite it for yourself, but you ain't gonna rewrite mine. By faith Noah, when he was divinely instructed about things that were not yet in sight, devoutly constructed the ark for the saving of his family, through which he condemned the world, while he fell heir to the righteousness that springs from faith. By faith Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place which he was to receive for an inheritance, and he migrated without any idea where he was going. By faith he lived in the land of promise as in the foreign country, living in tents as did Isaac and Jacob, who were joint heirs with him of the same promise. For he was looking for the city with foundations, whose architect and builder is God. See, mankind doesn't build shit. Anything that mankind thinks he can conceive of can easily be torn asunder. You are not God, but at the same time, you still act like you command the forces of God, because you can speak to spirits and get some intel, and you don't know if what they're telling you is truthful or not, because you don't even know who the fuck you're talking to. You don't even know who your best friend is, who stabbed you in the back, and then you gonna sit there and tell me you gonna trust a damn spirit? What the hell is wrong with you? You are the most insane people I have ever had to bear witness to. But at the same time, many of you once said you were my friends. Many of you still say that you are. But to what level? And to what point? And at the same time, why am I supporting you? Actually, I'm not. And you're not, because you're not supporting me. You know, it takes two to support a structure. And until you actually come around to understand that what I asked you for is basically something you have to give me. And I'm not talking about you just being a nice person to somebody else who you care for. Because see, the thing is, once you sit there and tell me, well, nigga, I ain't got to help you. You got God. Now, see, now that's when you go calling yourself testing God. What the hell is wrong with you? It is told, and it is taught, and it has been written that you never test the Lord your God, for it's a foolish endeavor. But you did that anyway. So you don't have a problem when we do this. Call you out on all your fucking lies. Because all you're trying to do is steal away and get over on us, and we ain't the ones to be played as fools. The storms will continue. Mountains will quake. Volcanoes will erupt. Storms will come. Hurricanes will blow. Houses will be lost, swallowed by water, and more. Lives will be lost, and bloodlust, and selfish desire, like in Virginia Beach. People will just lose their mind all of a sudden, and you never don't know why. You're still studying and trying to make sense out of why that man snapped and why he just went into work one day and put in a letter of resignation, and then started shooting and killing people. And now the town is in mourning. But that happens all around the world, because as far as you're concerned, you don't care about the fact that when you were dropping those bombs on those cultures and all that kind of stuff and tearing up their infrastructure, that was acceptable and it was okay because you were so righteous. You came from a place of self-righteousness that was loathing to the Most High, my Father, much less me. So don't even worry about that. But you have to understand something. And Mother Earth got tired of you too. Because see, all those bodies and all that blood, she has to absorb. And you let all that shit happen. And you rejoiced in it, and you said you did it in the name of freedom. You might as well say you cut a cord just like Doreen Bircher was teaching y'all how to do that shit too. As Angel Whispers and more. She didn't just cut a cord to your soul that you weren't already cutting, as you were already cutting down lives. And as you sit there and you have the audacity, and this is what you say, life begins with a heartbeat, but it ends at your bullet. And it's all justified as you gun down little kids in the street, just playing a game with a gun, mimicking you, because you can't tell the difference, because some cray-cray fool said, oh, there's a child out there with a gun. And you just go out there and you just shoot to kill. Much less somebody who's straight up on crack or whatever drug they own. And at the same time, your whole infrastructure supports that shit, and having you some drugged out drug addicts who basically are going to be out there butt naked acting a straight up cray-cray fool, and you don't know how to subdue them because you don't have that kind of training. So what? You shoot them? Male, female, dogs, cats. You ain't killed any cats yet, but you done killed some dogs. Well, we're going to watch you kill some cats too. Because you're going to say something wrong with the cat. You know, because cats do like catnip. Y'all are some interesting creatures. And what you ain't ready for is what my Father has coming to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I post Hebrews 11 so you can read the entire scripture. And start to entertain and meditate it for yourself. Because the one thing I'm not going to do is sit here and teach you everything. Because see, one thing I cannot do is jumpstart your brain process. You either have one or you don't. Are we clear on that? We want to know what you think. It ain't always about my ideas. It's about yours. Because see, my Father already knows what I think. Now he wants you to admit to what you actually think and what you profess to now know. And if you can't do that, then you can't self-correct, can you? And like I said, it's not my job to self-correct you. You have to do that for yourself. And if your parents didn't lay that foundation in you to be able to begin to think for yourself, then I say you have a personal problem of a major magnitude. And you might want to get some additional counseling, not from one source, but from a multitude of sources. And then learn how to see what is right between them and what is divisive between them just the same. Because what joins them together also will tear them asunder if they don't do it right. And I told you, this is a major undertaking and it's a lot of work. And brainwashing is easy. All you gotta do is look at you, this U.S. government, your politicians, and more. And everybody's got something to say. But they don't always say the same thing. But sometimes they do. And at the same time, all you hear are certain key buzzwords. Like busy bee. You know, like a fly is annoying. Get away from me, fly. That's a lie. We're not thinking about you. You'll figure it out. Anyway, I'm going to post Hebrews 11. You have a nice night.